It's official. The Chicago Bulls will have Zach LaVine to start off the season. We're going to be talking about if this is a good thing for the Chicago Bulls. Is this good for Zach LaVine? And is it possible that the Chicago Bulls might, in fact, get some assets back for Zach LaVine by waiting to trade him later on in the season? This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and this is another episode of Bulls Digest. Before we go ahead and jump into it, want to let you guys know that 77.8% of you guys that watch the videos are not subscribed to the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with the latest news and happenings around your Chicago Bulls. And without further ado, guys, let's jump into the topic of the day, which is Bulls will keep LaVine to start the season. All right, guys. So, look, I know that this Zach LaVine situation has been looming around the Chicago Bulls for quite some time. I think that it was expected that the major offseason move for the Chicago Bulls was going to be to move on from Zach LaVine. We've heard that reportedly there was about 15 trade proposals out there for Zach LaVine, and none of them came to fruition. He said that he was ahead of schedule, and here we are. It looks like that the Chicago Bulls are expecting Zach LaVine to start the season, and not only start the season, but help the Chicago Bulls. We're going to look at what AK had to say to reporters Sunday at the NBA Summer League, guys. And so if you guys want to check this out, you can check out the article that is on Yahoo Sports. But this is what AK had to say. He said, look, we expect Zach being fully healthy, and he is healthy. I think he can help this group next year. He's been professional. And again, he's healthy. We expect him to be with us to start the training camp. NBA Central echoing what AK had to say, essentially saying that Zach LaVine is healthy and should help the team compete. All right, guys, so let's unpack that. All right, so first and foremost, with what AK had to say about being professional, I totally agree with that. I think that Zach LaVine has been professional despite the narrative out there. So I will say I think that Zach LaVine has been the ultimate professional, which is why I'm not necessarily worried about him coming back to the team, even though it's an awkward situation. I don't think that Zach LaVine is going to make it awkward out there. I think that he knows that, look, if his camp and management has talked about a trade, the only thing that Zach LaVine could do is come back locked in and play his best basketball and really show that, hey, he can help a team win. All right. I think that that is the bottom line. And I think that that's probably more or less what we are going to see from Zach LaVine. Now, the question is, can he help the team win? It's possible. Look, he played with Lonzo Ball and he was very successful there. Lonzo Ball, I think you could say, is a true point guard in a lot of ways. And I think that Josh Giddy, he is a true point guard. If you've looked at what he was able to do against Team USA in that exhibition game, you saw that he can do it just about anything on the court, guys. I mean, he had 17 points out there. He had 7 assists, 8 rebounds or something like that, guys. And so, look, does he shoot the basketball great? Not necessarily, but he has a knack for setting up teammates, making it easy for them, and he also finds a way to get to the cup, get to the free throw line, get to his little floater, things like that. So there's other things that Giddy can do, and I think eventually he is going to develop that jump shot, especially now with the Chicago Bulls essentially getting him and saying, look, you have the keys to the offense. So how this helps Zach LaVine out, if Zach LaVine was successful with Lonzo Ball, who I think is a pass-first point guard, I think that this will help feature Zach LaVine off the ball. And I've always said this. I thought that the number one thing for Zach LaVine to show is going to be, could he fit? Because more than likely, if he goes to another team, he is probably going to be the third option on the team, which that may be the situation here with Chicago as well. That might happen. And so he's got to show that, hey, he can run right there with the fast break. He's got to show that he can knock down some shots when he's open as well, so be a good spot-up shooter. And he's got to show that when the offense breaks down, he can make a good decision with the basketball, not take any wild shot, but give the offense a chance to score the basketball, a lot like how DeMar DeRozan was. Like, I think that that's the role that Zach LaVine's going to step into. Now, what's scary about it for Chicago Bulls fans is that Zach LaVine has never necessarily had that type of responsibility. And he's going to be looked upon somewhat, I think, as a leader. All right. This is a guy that has been with the club the last time it was in the playoffs. Even though he wasn't out there for the play-in situation this last time around, he's been around the group that has helped build that. All right. And so Zach LaVine is going to be counted on, I think, to be a little bit more of a closer in this lineup, all right? And then he's going to have to show that he can affect winning. So winning basketball plays are not just scoring the basketball at times, but it might be a timely stop. You know, it might be at times he's going to have to get into his assist bag. I don't know what that looks like for Zach LaVine, but I think that this is the best case scenario for Zach LaVine, especially if he wants to rebuild his trade value back up. And I think he knows that. And I think AK pointed to the fact that he's going to be professional, which is why I don't see that Zach LaVine is going to come in and really give tension to the rest of the team. Like, I think that he knows what it is. I think that his camp understands what it is. And I think that they're going to try to go ahead and say, look, we'll work with you. He's going to be the ultimate professional. He's going to go out here. He's going to play within the team concept. But, you know, make no mistake about it, I think that when the opportunity comes, then Zach LaVine will probably be gone. So, you know, you're hoping that Zach LaVine can continue to stay professional, continue to have a good relationship with the Chicago Bulls, even though it's for sure fractured somewhat, but he can keep it business-like and really help us. And the one thing that I would say, too, lastly, guys, is that for the people out there that say that Zach LaVine is just going to put up a whole bunch of numbers and stuff like that, like, everybody knows he can score. Again, the big thing about him is fit and can he help the team win, all right? So putting up a whole bunch of numbers is not necessarily going to move the needle, I think, for teams, guys. And so with that being said, with all this Zach LaVine, he's getting moved, he's not getting moved. Now we find out that he is going to be here, guys. There's still very much that chance that Zach LaVine might, in fact, be moved at the trade deadline, or maybe a little bit before the trade deadline. Okay. And so as much that has really gone around Zach LaVine and this whole situation and all this drama and stuff like that. And what's really been interesting is people saying that there's no trade market for Zach LaVine and we would have to attach an asset. And I love the fact that AK drew the line in the sand and said, look, we are going to be patient. We are not just trading Zach LaVine and attaching assets. And generally, when you trade a star player, you generally get some assets back, guys. And so we would literally be hustling backwards, so to speak. But look, I am encouraged with the fact that, guys, we could possibly still get an asset. All right. And so this is according to Vincent Goodwill, who is he's an insider for Yahoo Sports, guys. And this is what he had to say about the Zach LaVine situation. He said, look, I think it's possible that the Bulls can get a 2026, 2027 draft pick, and that's a first rounder, right? He said at some point, some team will look at him and say he's not a contract. All right, that's a player. That's a very big point, guys, because I think right now, when you look at what was said, guys, in this particular quote, I think that Zach LaVine, a lot of people are looking at his situation as, I don't want to take this contract on. I don't want to take this contract. I don't want this contract. I don't want this contract. Not just that, you know, the injuries do play a part of it, but I think a lot of that is we don't want to take this contract. So I think by him coming out, showing that he can affect winning, right, then I think that that is going to get people off of, hey, it's just the contract, and look at him more as a player at this point in time. Because I think that Zach LaVine, a lot of people are forgetting that he can be a good player, right? He's just got to show that he can help a team win. So with that being said, guys, are you guys encouraged with the fact that, hey, that Vincent Goodwill is exactly right in saying that, yes, we could get a 2026, 2027 draft pick. Are you guys okay with that? Knowing that we're not going to get a 2025 draft pick, would you be okay with a 2026 or 27? And also, too, guys, do you think that Zach LaVine is able to come in with this version of the Chicago Bulls, and will he be effective? All right. Or do you feel like he's going to be disruptive? Let me know in the comments. And as usual, guys, even though We've been talking about a player that's been traded for months, maybe years. Who knows, guys? I'm still saying go Bulls, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, peace, peace.